to the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story.
Hello, everyone. How you doing tonight? It's Gary here, Wise Leadership Solutions, Words from the Wise. And I've got the opportunity tonight to film a little bit, and I've got something on my heart that I want to share. And so here we go. Uh, I made a video not too long ago when I was back at the classroom about reasons why going CMC or Command Master Chief was a challenge for me. And I highlighted some of the issues that came out of when I was leaving the Seventh Fleet staff period of time and transitioning to Naval Base Guam. I've been getting a lot of requests for people to asking me that know my story to tell the rest of my story, if you will, or at least another one of the challenging times that I went through. Because for those of us that are in the leadership arena, it's easy for us to always come across like, hey, motivators, everything goes our way. And not everyone always hears about or sees the things that we go through that really are hard for us and for our families. And so I'm going to share tonight one of the probably, I would say, top three most challenging things I ever went through, at least during my time as a command master chief, which was, I became a command master chief in 2016. I got to USS Ashland January of 2016 after terminating shore duty early to go into the CMC program and requesting to go to a forward deployed LSD to an amphib, right? Which people don't typically request to do, but that's what I asked for. That's what I wanted to do. Well, while on the amphib on the Ashland, did good things, made some very good friends or some connections that I thought were good friends, but unfortunately, we're just unfortunately people that just like to use people. But it's so goes the world, right? I don't mind if you use me. Just tell me you're using me. That's all I care. Let a brother know that let me be in on it, and we're good. Okay. Uh, After going through everything of the Seven Fleet staff, which I can put that video in the link, or I'll talk about that one again in the future, because it was a very eye-opening experience doing that job up there, working with them, and learning that I really quickly that it was not where I wanted to go in my career, was in the upper areas of echelons in the Navy, especially as a Master Chief Petty Officer, because what I found was there were E9s in the Navy who actually thought they were like admirals. Like they really think that they're like admirals. Swear to God. The Command Master Chief program, especially when you get above, I would say S3, they have this process where they act like they're going to work to give everybody a fair opportunity, but it's really just petty backs. It's not good, not healthy. Okay, and unfortunately, I saw a lot of that from the inside. Plus, unfortunately, I saw some stuff where I couldn't get behind it. Things worked out where Erica had a medical crisis, and my family ended up getting the opportunity to go to Naval Base Guam, which, while there were some frustrations, I felt like God was at work, and it really did turn out to be an awesome opportunity for my family. Loved Guam, and when I got to Guam, or once I got the orders to go to Guam, I remember I was talking to the Fleet Master Chief, he was my next tier up CMC when I was in Hawaii with my wife because she was at the hospital going through her medical problems. And he had told me, hey, if you want to go to Guam, just make sure you bring a belt, right? Bring a tool belt because it's a lot of hard work. And I was just like, Roger that, man. Like I'm into it. I'm ready to go to work. As soon as I know my wife is cancer free and she's going to be okay, I've never been the problem. The problem is these people who are manipulating the scenes behind the things because they don't like people. That was the problem, right? Just being honest. They can make it out whatever they want to make it out, but they're still doing it to this day. I had a brother call me last night, still on active duty, still in the freaking CMC community at the highest levels, and they're still doing the same crap. I mean, come on, bro. Y'all are whack. Y'all are whack. Did you know when you retire, you don't get higher retirement pay, bro? Like, just so you know. I mean, we have the swamp of that community, and they continue to still perpetuate that problem. And I hope that the SecDef will recognize it's not just the flag officers that probably need to go, but I highly recommend you look at the flag CMC ranks. Just saying, at least for the Navy. I can't speak for the other branches, but for the Navy, it's toxic. Look at I mean, okay. Anyway, moving on. So I go to Guam, and on the way to Guam, once I find out I get this opportunity, I sit down with every base master chief that I can. I mean, it's about 3 weeks between me being told I'm going to Guam and when I'm getting to Guam because the CMC that's there is leaving because he's got medical problems. And so it's a short fill, but I'm ready to go because I want to get out of 7th Fleet staff because I love my sailors, love my Chiefs mess. They love me back, but some of those senior leaders and some of those E9s were just freaking toxic. So I sit down with the base master chief in Yokosuka. I call the base master chief in Sasebo. I call the base master chief in Atsugi. I talk to the base master chief in Pearl Harbor, and I'm trying to get the context of, hey guys, what's the biggest challenges you have as a base master chief? I've never worked for under the CNIC construct, which is our Naval Installations Command. And they are all telling me a couple of things. Number one, make sure you're working with the senior civilians so that they understand what you can do to help them. All right, so that's Navy Exchange, that's housing, that's USO, all these force multipliers. Check. That makes too much sense, right? The other thing they're telling me is make sure you manage the barracks. I'm going to own the barracks, so check. Roger that. And the other thing they tell me is be careful of security department. I'm like, what? Why do I got to be careful of security department? And they were just like, look, security is complicated. It's not a healthy relationship between them and the installation. Pretty much anywhere you go, and I'll tell you, it's the challenge is the manning for security forces is not conducive with the requirements that they have to meet. There's just not typically enough of them to meet the requirements of force protection and readiness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so those sailors, in particular, those sailors and the civilians that work with them, because typically you're going to see installation security forces is going to have a lot of civilians and sailors. It is a monotonous, challenging job, especially when the majority of the work is going to be at the gate or on the boats in the harbor, but they all said the same thing. They all said the same thing. Be careful with security forces. And I'm like, all right, cool. And what I heard was it's like a big deck on your an aircraft carrier. You got to watch your reactor, air department. Those are big departments that have challenges. You go to an amphib, it's about engineering and deck, right? So on an installation, security forces is your biggest department. So you're going to get the majority of your challenges that come out of security forces. Cool, no problem. Oh, and the other thing was, and take care of the tenant command. So what happens is when you're the installation master chief or when you're the installation commander, my boss, you have a responsibility to take care of all the commands that are living on your installation to make sure that they're getting taken care of. And because we're a forward deployed installation, which Captain Grimes had this philosophy that we were a forward operating base, which would become a true story on Naval Base Guam during the years I was there as the Master Chief, because we would live through COVID and we would become a forward operating base. But he already had that philosophy because we have, I mean, commissary is at the end of the delivery cycle, Navy Exchange at the end of the delivery cycle. Guam is out there alone and unafraid, and we don't always have all of the things that we need. And so we have to do a lot of uh, working together to make things happen, right? And Captain Grimes understood that, and he was going to be my commanding officer when I got there. And Guam is much different than, like, say, a Japan installation, because yes, Japan is forward deployed, but the host country of Japan has so much access to so many resources. Guam, you don't have that, right? Guam is an American territory. They are reliant upon the American delivery chain, the sustainment chain, and oh, by the way, we're always fending off people from, unfortunately, near peer competitors that want to be in our suit. Okay, so when I landed on Guam and I'm meeting with the new CMC, I mean, my wife goes from being in surgery, can barely walk. We get back to Japan. It's like an 8-day turnaround to get packed out, and we're landing in Guam. and she can barely walk because of the surgery she's been through, and I'm already out there with the CMC getting the turnover because he's leaving, and I want to hear from him what his challenges are, right? And he's telling me the same thing, managing the barracks, because my boss is going to be a submariner, and submariners, they look to the Cobb as being the one that owns everything when it comes to lodging on board a boat. So for my boss being a Cobb, that's the same thing, right? Or I'm being his Cobb, he's a submariner. I own all the barracks, thousands of barracks rooms, mind you, because you have all the submarines, you have, well, maybe 1,000, right? Because they have 4 submarines out there now. You have all of the deploying rotational forces for the CTF 75 folks in Camp Covington. You have all of the land based forces that live on the installation. And so I have to manage all of those barracks and make sure that every tenant CMC has their allotted barracks rooms. And oh, by the way, as I'm getting there, they had recently just gotten rid of unit integrity, which was for me a disaster. Right. When I was a CMC of a ship, I wanted unit integrity in my barracks. I wanted a whole P-way of just my sailors so I could make sure my sailors were taking care of our areas. And it would take me 2 years to get back to unit integrity, but I did that. I did that. And I remember when I first got to Naval Base Guam, one of the first things that I did was have a barracks town hall with all the sailors in the barracks. And the first time I had a town hall, I would say the theater had about 150 sailors in it. 3 town halls later, no sailors, because we heard all their concerns, we heard all of the things they wanted to get fixed, we addressed it, we fixed it, and I was communicating with the tenant CMCs, making sure that the barracks were taken care of. So the barracks, in my opinion, was one of my strongest areas for my time as a command master chief. And that's going to come up in today's story because we're going to talk about barracks and some of the challenges there. Now, one thing I would like to tell y'all is if you ever live overseas in like Japan or Guam, or even Florida, hell, but let's say Japan and Guam, and you're living in a barracks that or a base housing that's a little bit older than some of the newer homes. There is this thing called in the air, it's called humidity. Okay. In humidity, it happens to where if you don't have good air movement in certain areas, things might actually start to develop mold. Like my wife, my family, when we were in Japan and Guam, you would get these dehumidifiers and we would run them in our house to pull the water out of the air, and we would be dumping the buckets of the water. We used to get these little like tubs of these pellets, and what they would do is absorb the water in our closets to help prevent them from becoming mold on our clothing in the closets, because we understood we lived in a humid tropical environment that was not originally designed to have people living on it in the manner that we were living on it, right? This is going to matter for part of the story in the future. Okay, and so I just want you to understand that that's a context for me. And I lived in Japan from 1997 to 2000. My first ship, so I was a first term sailor, Seventh Fleet. Right, I was back in Japan again, 2010 to 13, on board the USS George Washington. At that point in time, I was a married sailor I was a chief to senior chief to master chief with a spouse living in base housing. Was back to Japan again, 16 to 18 in Sasebo, Japan. And then we moved up to Yokosuka, Japan from 18 to 19. And then I was in Guam from 19 to 22 when I retired. So I did a lot of my time in that environment and understanding what it takes to live in that kind of a tropical space. Okay. And again, my job was when the sailors came in, they would check into barracks and we would give them barracks rooms from all the lieutenant commands. It didn't matter if you were from the tenders, which was like our big ships. It didn't matter if you were a submarine, didn't matter. It didn't matter. My job was to make sure you had a barracks room, you had linens, you had everything that you needed. And oh, by the way, I had to manage projects in the barracks, updating the barracks, and that was my job. Okay, so that's one thing, barracks. Okay, back to the security forces. Security forces have a tough job. I am not going to give them any shade on that. Number one, especially in a place like Guam, you're out there in the heat and the rain and you're doing the gate guard duty. You've got to maintain your presence. You've got to maintain your bearing. You've got to be out on the water, managing all these surface contacts, trying to keep the harbor safe and make sure everything is squared away. Oh, by the way, we're American soil, but we have a lot of foreign nationals on our island theoretically that are tourists. Okay, but unfortunately, you don't know who's a tourist and who's not a tourist. So our force protection measures we were accelerated than other areas, and we have a lot of contractors or GSs, I guess you would call them. You have different levels of government employees who would help offset not having enough American military forces to do the security forces. So the security forces are on a rotation where they're very similar to law enforcement in the civilian sector. They work 3 days and they're 12-hour shifts. Then they're off 2 days, work 2 days, and they're off 3 days. And that was their rotation. So every other weekend or every 2 weekends was like a 3 day weekend or whatever it was. And I wished I didn't have to care, to be honest with you. I wished it was not a problem, but there was always so many challenges coming out of the security forces when it came to personnel and manning, because the minute one of those sailors is not able to arm up and carry a firearm, they're not able to do the job. You're now down watchstanders. If they get pregnant, if they get injured, if they're going to mental health, pick a thing, right? And the more sailors you lose, the harder it is for you to man up your posts. And then when you can't man up your posts and you've got like high traffic hours, you've got casualty situations, you've got things you got to worry about, it's a lot of weight to put on those sailors. And a lot of the leaders are not always the best communicators as to what's going on around them. And so I found out very quickly that there were some challenges in that space, right? And there was also a lot of, in the terms of what I will use in the political context, deep state, right? Because unfortunately, in the government employee world, you have a lot of freaking deep state people. And no, they're not all living in Washington, D.C. You go to any fleet concentration area, any centralized hub of any major military area, and you're going to find a bunch of employees that have been doing that job for freaking years. Years. Matter of fact, they did it before they got out of the military, and then they managed to create themselves a job to transition to that job when they got out of the military. It's one of the things that I personally just I have a sour taste in my mouth for it. That's just it's why I couldn't get far enough away from those kinds of people because they're part of the problem. Like you're going to just continue on. It's how I think we ended up at the Navy Community College. Just being honest with y'all, like just being honest, that's how we got that program. And I've watched them create CMC jobs for people that didn't need to be there, didn't need a job, just because they're trying to keep their operatives in places so they can continue acting like they're in control of something when really they're not. They're not. It's they just like again they like to have the power. But I digress. You have that same challenge when it comes to every installation, right? Every installation, you're going to have this deep state of government employees who have vested interest in things not changing or things not progressing. And so when you have a commanding officer who maybe is trying to make it better, for example, within my time, we were trying to ensure the force protection posture for our installation was such that any of our competitors that looked at our installation would think we're not going to try the United States of America today. Because if you look at those gate guards right there, they care, right? And that went from standardization of uniforms, that went from bearing all watch. There was all kinds of things, right? Because unfortunately, the sailors thought they should just be wearing whatever kinds of uniform they wanted to wear because it was hot. I get it. And I fought for them to get certain things, but it took time. It took time. So security forces was a challenge, and I learned that coming in. But again, it comes with the job, it comes with the territory. It's not an abnormal challenge for me in Naval Base Guam outside of it being geographically separated from a lot of other people. You only got the numbers of people that you got, and of course, we're at the end of the supply chain. Okay. Uh, but when I get there, At first, I don't. At first, the job is just it's kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, all right, well, I went from being on a ship, then I went from being up at the staff where they got these $1 million budgets and they're talking about these big things, and now I'm down here on Guam and I'm trying to figure out barracks, and I've got these people in security that just seem to hate the command and they don't want nothing to do with the command, but all they want to do is complain, and that's not the chief's mess that I'm from. So I got to figure out all this stuff. Here's the other thing about Guam. You have a region leadership, okay, of one installation. So typically, a region in the Navy is going to have multiple installations. Okay, so they're going to have 3 or 4 bases, 3 or 4 commanding officers, 3 or 4 sets of programs, and they're legit a region. Guam does not have that because you got a region leadership who's supposed to be theoretically like coalescing the Air Force and the Marine Corps and the Navy. But one thing if you don't know about buckets of money or colors of money when it comes to this government funding, there's all different colors of money. Okay, so the Air Force has their own flavor of money. The Marine Corps has their own flavor of money. The Navy has their own flavor of money. So when this region is theoretically Navy, they have nothing to say about the other colors of money from other places. So this is a Navy region. All of their region people that are part of their deep state are only really worried about one thing, which is the Navy base. And this is a huge part of the problem because these people would live up on this hill and they would just throw down things to just exacerbate these other people, and they were interchanging back and forth. Well, I'll move up here and get a job, then I'll move down there and get a job. And not for nothing, I mean, even the Navy was doing it, right? I mean, my CO was formerly the up there on the hill, and they him and the other CO had swapped roles, right? Which you would for them to honestly, I think it was very beneficial because they worked well together. But unfortunately, if you've got if you've got skeletons in your closet, they don't go away. And then for a lot of these civilians that were just hopping from job to job to job to job, go to it doesn't always leave the best taste in people's mouths. And so there was a lot of this animosity between the people up on the hill and the people at the installation. That's going to come up later as I talk about some of these things. Oh, one other area to highlight as I lay out this story, which was a hellacious 10 months of my life. Um, we had a JAG, okay, that worked for the installation commander. That JAG worked in our building down the hall from my boss and from me, and that JAG had a paralegal that worked for them that was military. Okay. Um, we had that JAG work directly for my CO. That paralegal worked directly for that JAG, but their commanding officer and leadership was in Yokosuka. They also had other JAGs and paralegals that worked up on the hill for the leadership up there, who also reported to the command over in Yokosuka. Again, they worked for 2 different people, but they were from the same command. That's going to matter later. And I knew the people in Japan who were responsible for those paralegals in particular because they were enlisted. And I knew the master chief up in Japan because before I had come to Guam, I knew her when I was up in uh, Japan. Right, we had worked together, and we were relatively good friends. Now that friendship does go awry because the second class petty officer at this time, she is a paralegal working for the JAG who loves her to death, but she makes a bad choice. Bad choice. And I remember she made the bad choice. She got into some trouble. She came to see me, and she was always coming to talk to me. We had a really good relationship. She was my paralegal. I mean, I was talking to her about everything when it comes to legal things because typically that's what I would do with my paralegal enlisted folks. When I was at the staff, when I was on the ship, I would have an open dialogue with these sailors. And when she got in trouble and she came to me, I told her, I was like, "You're cooked. You're cooked." If I had been her CMC, if she, again, she wasn't mine. She was in my junior enlisted association. She was in my building every day. I cared for her. I cared for her child. I cared for her family. She was going through this trouble. So I cared. I know her. But again, I didn't write evals on her, nothing like that. But when she got in trouble, I told her. I said, you're in deep trouble. I think you should go home because I don't know that I can trust you to continue on as a paralegal and not trust your unfortunately your ethics, right? Like you're making super bad choices. How can you be giving us advice on legal things? For me, that was a problem, and she took it. She understood. And when they removed her from working in the JAG's office, they had her working for me, and I had her checking ID cards at the quarter deck, and I cared about the sailor. And then instead of them, in my opinion, just taking care of business, they really went after her and really just drug out this process. And where they screwed up was they overstepped their boundaries. And where I ran afoul with the other master chief was I sided with the sailors with the sailor when they did that, right? I sided with the sailor when they did that because even though I had been direct with the sailor and told the sailor if it had been up to me, you'd have been gone a long time ago. I would have been gone. But once they started doing too much, and once they crossed the line, and then once they got themselves in a deep water because they were being, unfortunately, the JAG Corps is one of my biggest frustrations with the United States Navy. When you talk about the weaponization of lawfare in the society, I promise you, the Navy is some of the worst at it. Really, I'm just telling you. I promise you. The United States, I've seen it from the inside and I've lived it. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But, and the JAGs, their job, at least in their mind, is to give their officers, their leaders, the best advice possible in which to wage war on their sailors or on their people using the legal code. My job as a command master chief is to temper that with freaking, that's not how we treat our sailors, right? And that's what I would do. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's not why we're going to do it. That's not how we're going to do it. That's crap. But if you don't get that, which is where some of these corrupt E9s come into play because they think that they're freaking E10s or they think that they're really somebody special and they think that they're freaking like above the law, you got problems, right? And so when this second class petty officer runs afoul with her command up in Yokosuka, and now they're drawing out this process and going down the whole court martial route, and they're just doing way, way, way more than they had to do. She was guilty. She admitted her guilt. She was willing to freaking take the punishment and move on with her life. But 8 months later, now y'all are doing way too much and they messed up. Guess what? You know what? At this point, I'm going to support the sailor. She's done everything she was supposed to do. She did everything y'all said to do. Y'all keep dragging this out. Either kick her out of the freaking Navy or let her go. She's got a child. She's got a family. She's got things to do. And when the sailor told the Master Chief up north that I was supporting her, then she got mad. And we had this conversation. That's going to matter because later on in the conversation. Okay? All right, just put that in there. Now, get to Naval Base Guam, figure it all out. It's boring, but it's fun, right? It's boring, but it's fun. It's not that crazy. And then COVID comes. COVID comes and it goes wild, right? We are the only operating base in the whole freaking Pacific for ships to get liberty, for ships to come in and get taken care of. We are a federally subsidized island, and so all the federal rules apply for COVID. So all of our families are locked down, schools are closed down. I'm taking care of families on the installation. I'm taking care of sailors off of an aircraft carrier that is getting freaking cleaned up from COVID on board the ship. We're taking care of ships that are coming into port. We're working with the region commander, who at that point in time was a phenomenal human being. I love this man. And Lisa, I had her on a previous conversation. She was the master chief up there. Love her to death. We're working together, and what they're doing is letting us do our job because my boss is he's solid, man. He doesn't need you to manage him. He's got this, right? And the best thing you could do is manage the above us and keep those things off of us while we figure all these things out. And we do a pretty decent job during COVID. I mean, I'm very proud of my team, and we can talk more about that at another time. But from the period of time that COVID starts till COVID ends, we are freaking running an operation to best support the Pacific Fleet. Okay, and we're doing a very good job. Security, they are completely in a bubble in their own world, doing whatever they're going to do to take care of the post because we don't got time to micromanage that right now because we've got to do all these other things. And so they're actually very happy at that time because they're not having to deal with any of the concerns that we had with on them beforehand. And no one's coming to the base anyway, right? There's like no traffic on the whole installation because no one's coming to work. Everything's secured. Nothing's happening. Gates are closed. There's no reason to worry about it because no one is working. Right? It's freaking shut down. Now, we come through COVID and now we're trying to come out of COVID and we have to learn how to do this again in a world post COVID. But oh, by the way, we're being held to all these other additional regulations that they gave to us to support Guam due to a potential for there being COVID still. Again, Guam holds on to it till the very end. So we're managing airport runs, we're managing all the rules, all the regulations till the very, very, very end of COVID. Even after everyone else has taken all of their baseballs and footballs and basketballs and gone home, Naval Base Guam is still trying to figure it out. And the only reason I was able to keep it going was because all the people that denied the COVID vaccination got sent to work for me. That was the only reason I was able to keep it going. But what was crazy is but none of them were vaccinated, so they weren't able to do work theoretically because they weren't vaccinated. So I would have them doing things that would not put them at risk while they were going through their it was just it was a lot. Okay, and I remember we had done uh, a couple things happened at the end of COVID. As I get the story going, uh, the boss on the hill left. We got a new guy in who did not. I don't. The storyline that I got that I'd heard was he was not. He wanted to do better than the previous guy. Right? The last guy had done all of COVID, all these things, was loved by the island, was loved by the community, and so here comes this new guy, and he wants to be better than that. So that was one, right? So that was the data points we were getting down below. So he wanted to say, "Oh, things are not as good as everybody thought they were. They didn't do as good of a job as they thought they did, and I've got problems." So that was one. Another thing was there was a new JAG that came in up on the hill who also had that energy, right? It wasn't that good. They didn't do that good. We could do better. And so there was a lot of coming out of COVID. You got fresh energy, fresh ideas, and of course, their lens was, oh, well, they're behind on a whole bunch of things. And oh, by the way, their COVID thing was not that hard. It wasn't that big of a deal. And they're not that good. And that was directed right at us because we're their only place to vent on because we're their only people that will listen to them. Nobody else will listen to them. The Marines don't care. The Air Force don't care. So we get all their attention, right? Just put that on your pipe and let you smoke on that for a little bit. So we get all their attention. Lisa, my girl, she had gotten pulled out to go to another position. And you know what's funny is the boss had come down and asked me in front of my boss, "Hey, they're taking her. Would you come be my guy?" And I was like, "I don't want it. I will come help you, but that's not really what I want to do." Right? But I said, whatever. But of course, he lost that fight because you got these E10s out there that think they're the ones that are the masters of the universe. Oh, Gary can't go there because we think Gary needs to go somewhere else. And that was where Gary was saying, "Well, who are you guys to say where I'm going to go next? I'm already thinking about the door, bro. Just being honest with you. You guys don't care for what's my family's best interests. And you still don't, as I talk to my friends that are out there in the fleet. You E10s that are out there pretending that y'all are running things, y'all are really killing the freaking community. Just it's horrible. Anyway, and so, but that job opportunity comes. He talks. Me and my captain talk about it. And I'm ambivalent. Whatever, not a big deal to me. So, but the new boss comes in and he's sending down waves of energy that he's not happy with certain things. And look, I will tell you, for me, I me and the bosun, we just got awarded like meritorious service medals. My captain got this freaking badass award from like another country. He flies to like Europe to get in the war. Like we're getting all these rave recognition from all over the Navy, all over the world. But we got this new leader up there on the hill who just not happy. Okay, check. Roger that. Whatever, man. My boss is getting ready to retire and change over command. And this is where I'm picking up the story. I had to set the table for y'all. Oh, one other piece to set the story. The person who's relieving my boss is another post tour major commander who's coming from another command on the island. Okay. So he's not new to the community, he's not new to the island. And as a matter of fact, he did a lot of great things during COVID with his ship and his crew. The challenge wasn't so much him as it was going to be his my concern was his spouse, because his spouse during COVID was a leader of a large community of spouses for that deployed command who was gone. And there had been some times where her and like my ombudsman or other leaders in the community had run afoul to where me and the command master chief for his command had some very direct conversations about please keep her out of this lane. Let me know the concerns, send it back through the command chain of command, and we'll figure it out. But we don't need spouses arguing over social media or like trying to get people energized while we're trying to fight this freaking pandemic, right? Do you get the sense of where I'm coming from on that? And so I was concerned that now this gentleman was going to become my new commanding officer. And I had basically shut down problems that his spouse had been causing in other areas of my command during that period of time, right? Not for nothing. I don't want to care. I don't want to care. I don't want to care. But when Captain says, Master Chief, make that problem go away, I'm gonna call that CMC up and say, make that problem go away, bro. Simple, right? But now he's gonna be my new CEO. And so as change of command is coming, I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I got a year left at this command. I'm worried that there's going to be some problems with this new boss, and his wife's going to hate me because I had gone against her, the court of public opinion, because that's my job. My job was to hold down the community and not let, I mean, unfortunately, if you've ever been overseas in a forward deployed place like Guam, it can get crazy out there in housing. Just being honest, it can be nuts, right? And especially with social media. And so I was worried about that. Coming into 21, if you remember, the president and the Secretary of Defense mandates that all of the Department of Defense must do a command climate survey to identify extremism. You remember that? Extreme, and really they were talking about white people, white dudes, Caucasian dudes that were being extremists, right? But there was a mandated command climate survey that everybody had to do. Now ours, we had done our previous one during COVID. Guess what? Fine, no issues, right? Nothing more than the average bear. And so I'm like, Captain, we got to do this command climate survey, but you're changing command in July. Do we do it now or do we do it in July? I mean, I don't want to do two of them back to back. What do you think? And he's like, Master Chief, they said to do it. We're doing it now. Give me a plan. Roger that. Me and the XO put together a plan and we do the command climate survey. Oh, by the way, remember Region of One? Well, they got a command climate specialist who has one installation. So all he's got to do is, I'll worry about MBG, right? What's that guy do for a job? Nothing but make my life hell. Anyway, we got that guy. You've got, I mean, right? We're their only installation. So anyway, we do the survey. Oh, I get one of my sailors comes to me. She is the assistant command managed equal opportunity person. She is my command career counselor, and she comes to my office and she says, Master Chief, I want to give you a heads up. There are sailors that are trying to get people to come after you on this survey. I said, okay, well, I mean, whatever. What can I do about that? I appreciate the heads up. Thank you very much. You know what I do with that information? I go talk to the captain. I go talk to the XO. I go talk to the JAG, and I talk to the region master chief who's now up on the hill. Hey, bro, what do I do about that? What do you think? Oh, don't worry about it, Gary. Blah blah blah. Okay, talk to everybody. Whatever. What are you gonna do? right? And I'm like, and I talked to the in this first class, and we worked together very closely, very well. And she's telling me like, Master Chief, they're really coming up with some things. I'm like, what are they coming up? Like, what can they have a problem with? You had one E6. My mom died in 2019, right before I went to MBG. My mom passed away. And I had a first class petty officer who was checking in with me one time, and she wouldn't make eye contact. And she wouldn't look at me, and she kept looking at the ground. And I told her, I said, hey, first class petty officer, you're reminding me of my mom, and I would like you to not put yourself in a position where people may not recognize your abilities because you're not communicating. You're not looking at people when they're talking to you. I would like for you to try to work on that as you're going to be at this command, right? I mean, her leadership's in the room. We're doing this CDB, right? Career Development Board. Well, all she took from that was I said she looks like her mom, my mom, even though they look nothing alike physically, right? At all. And my mom had just died. So I wouldn't just use my mom and just compare this person to my mom for no reason. Right. I actually cared about the sailor and I was trying to get across to her. And I was like, that's a thing? Like that's a what? That was like a year ago. Why is that a problem? I don't know, Master Chief, but that's one. I had another one. So remember, the legal men or the paralegal, right? The second class petty officer was gone. Now we had a new E6 over there, and we had a new Jag. Who the new Jag and I we got along pretty good. She was a female, and the previous Jag was a male. Not that it matters to me, but female Jag. And she's always coming down talking to me because her new paralegal, her new first class, is it's concerning for her. She got some concerns because she doesn't carry herself as the stereotypical paralegal first class petty officer would carry themselves, right? So she's always coming to talk to me about her concerns. And I don't know this sailor. I never got to know this sailor because after the change up and after the previous problem, the Master Chief, I think, had her never really working with me, which I don't really care. Fine, whatever, right? But I have nothing really to do with this sailor. But the sailor is a part of my first class petty officer association for whatever that's worth. They didn't do anything, so whatever. She was in that group. But the Jag was always coming to see me about concerns she had about this sailor. Okay. In particular, concerns about the sailor on Liberty. And I would listen and I'd give her my advice, but I'd try to stay out of it. Okay. So one day I'm coming into the building and I see this first class petty officer way down the street in uniform, no cover on, with the brightest hair like in the world. I mean, it is bright, bright. And she's unfortunately this sailor is known for wearing hair. That's not always, I would say, appropriate in regulations. It just distracts. Okay. But I'm just like, I see it. I'm just like, Lord, I don't want to, I don't want no problems. I got a year left in the Navy. I'm trying to figure out my life and whatever. Right. So then here comes to my office. The Jag comes to my office. Master Chief, did you see what's her name's hair? I did. Chief, what do you think? I'm like, what? You're a Jag. You tell me, what do you think? Oh, Master Chief, I don't know. Senior Chief comes in. Hey, Gary, did you see so and so's hair? Yeah, I saw it. Did you see it? Yeah. Well, did you say something to her? No, bro, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Do you think that's right? Do you think, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't want to be the one that has to worry about this sailor's freaking hair color, bro. Like, come on. Another chief comes walking through the back door because in my office, the chiefs all knew if my front door was closed, the back door meant the mess was open. So my chief comes walking in the back. Hey Gary, man, you seen that freaking first class's hair? I'm like, bro. Okay, that's it. 3 data points. I'm gonna walk down the hall and I'm gonna talk to the sailor. So I walk down the hall, say, hey, paralegal, E6, question for you. A lot of people are recognizing your new hair color and they're wondering if you think it's in regulations or not. You're paralegal E6. What do you think? Because if it was me and I had a jacked up haircut and people were talking about my jacked up haircut, I would want to know if people thought I had a jacked up haircut. And so I'm just coming to you because no one else seems to want to come talk to you about it directly. And I get to be the one. And she's like, well, Max Chief, this is a natural hair color. I said, I've never seen a hair color that color in my life. But okay, I'll bite. Here's what I would like for you to do. Please contact your Master Chief up in Yokosuka, talk with her, and whatever y'all come to, I'm good. Oh, by the way, I need you to wear your cover when you walk into the office in the morning, okay? Because you didn't wear your cover this morning. I need you to do that. I know you don't want to mess your hair up, but I need you to wear your cover. And I need you to make sure that you understand that your hair color needs to not detract from the appearance of the uniform. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So then I walk back down to my office and I get on the freaking email and I email her Master Chief in Yokosuka. And I say, MC, I just went down the P-way, had a conversation with your sailor. Her hair color is a color that I've never seen before. Just telling you that I don't believe it to be in accordance with the regulations, but I will leave this between you and her. Let me know what you want to do. I'm just bringing it to you because I would want to know if somebody, again, she's not just anybody. Her job is to advise us on legal things. So she needs to be all the way right, in my opinion. And if she's going to walk this line of like justice, social justice warrior, I don't know that she's the one for the job, at least from my boss, right? I get an email back later on that day from the Master Chief. Hey, MC, she's going to fix her hair. Period. Boom. Okay, good. Done. Whatever. Okay. So flash forward back to here we are, I don't know, months later, going through this command climate survey. This sailor's not even in my command. She's not even a part of Naval Base Guam's UIC. And she's in my command climate survey talking about I'm having racist prejudice views or whatever it is because her hair color. Okay, so that's 1, 2. And I'm just hearing this. I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's see how it all plays out. Trust in the process. This is not my first rodeo. I've done these multiple times. I understand that there's more to it than just everyone does a survey. Thank you for the intel. Good. Um, so about April 21, I get a phone call, and we're in the middle of wrapping up this survey. Actually, we're waiting for the results to come back. And I get a phone call that my dad has just been put in hospice care and they didn't know how much longer he had to live. Okay? So I go to the captain. I'm like, sir, I don't really know what to tell you. We're coming out of COVID. We got this command climate survey going on, but until we get the results back, I don't really know what to do. Your change of command is in July, but this is my dad. My mom died in 2019. And what do you think? And he was like, Master Chief, you gotta go, you gotta go. So I went home. Literally went home. The first night my dad walked out to the front room. The next night we put him in a hospital bed in his bedroom. By the third night, me and my aunts and my uncle were doing 24 hours a day care until my dad passes away. Okay. As soon as my dad passes away, I'm on a flight back to Guam. Right. So I'm not even gone a week. Right. Get back to Guam after the funeral and all that. And the command climate survey results are back. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get it cracking. Let's call the team in and let's go through it. And I read through the command climate survey, and sure enough, there are the stories that are in there. And I tell the captain, and it's not just about me, it's about me, it's about the XO. Typically, in my experience, one of us is always going to be a lightning rod in the survey. Typically, it's going to be the new guy is going to be the one everybody loves. The one that's been there the longest is probably going to be the one everybody hates. And the one that's been there, like in the center, is the one that doesn't do anything. That's just kind of been my experience, right? It's typically there's usually as they separate the CO, the XO, the CMC, and so I tell the captain, I'm like, sir, my advice is yes, do the focus groups, yes, do these other things, but my advice is investigate these allegations that are in this report to see make sure there's anything there or not. That's my advice. I would do a PIO on all those allegations. My captain's like, I ain't doing that, Master Chief. It's crap. We've already talked about these things because every time I would get this intel from my leaders, right, from my people that were telling me what people are talking about on the deck plates as they're like all freaking trying to figure out how they're going to try to tell their side of drama, right? I would go talk to the captain. I would go talk to the XO. I would go talk to the JAG. I would go talk to the CMC up on the hill, right? And tell him my concerns every time. And he's like, Master Chief, I ain't doing that crap. I'm not. And I was like, sir, I got it, but you're leaving soon. You're changing command soon. Me and the XO are still going to be here. And I feel like if you don't investigate some of these things, the new CEO is going to come in. I don't know how that's going to go because I don't know how he's going to feel. And let me tell you guys something about the Command Master Chief program. If you don't know this, I can't speak for the other services, but for the Navy, you serve at the grace of the commander. Period. If the commander does not want you to be his master chief, you're done. You're cooked. That's all it takes. I swear to God. When I was a master chief in Norfolk, I went to Fleet Forces Command or Surfland, and I met with every command master chief that was at the Surfland staff that had been fired. Okay. I sat down with all of them and I wanted to know how had it gone sideways for them, what had gone wrong. And what I found, I mean, some of them had made bad moral choices, some of them had made bad career choices, all true. But then what I also learned was if their commanding officers had wanted them to stick around, it would have not been they would still be there. So ultimately it's the commanding officer's job. But a lot of commanding officers do not want to run afoul of leaders above them, which are typically senior to them, right? Wink, wink. Okay. And typically those senior people have master chiefs. And those master chiefs have a role to play in which they're supposed to be up there to help advocate for what's going on. But if they're not solid and they're not able to speak and represent, there might be a problem. Okay. But for all those guys that were at the Surfland staff, I understood why they had all gotten fired. Like I got it. Like you can't alcohol, things like that. I got it. Those are bad choices. I could go on other stories though where it had got where there were not those choices, right? But I will just tell you that you serve at just at the commander's leisure. Okay, so I'm like, sir, Captain, my advice: investigate these things, wrap it up in a bow, turn it over to the incoming CO because this is your command climate survey, not his, and go from there. And oh, by the way, the previous survey had none of this crap. This is the survey. Remember that we're only doing this survey not because we had to, but because they're looking for extremism in our ranks. And the sailors, what they heard was, oh, this is our opportunity to go after people we don't like for whatever their reasons. Okay. Now, my captain is like, nope, I'm not doing a mass chief. Your dad just passed away. This is crap. They weren't here with us doing everything we did. I know none of this stuff is true. We've talked about all this already. No problems. Don't worry about it. All right, cool. Whatever, sir. Got it. Change of command happens in July. Okay. New CO says, well, I don't want to do a command climate survey because you guys just did one. I'm going to talk to the admiral about the guy on the hill. I'm going to talk to that guy about just accepting those results and moving forward. All right, I recommend you do another one. That's what I said. Do another one. Pull another survey. Let's go ahead and see if there's the same stuff going on back to back. Because again, the data I'm getting from the deck plates is the sailors all looked at that survey as a one-off and they could just do whatever they wanted to do with it and make all the baseless accusations because nobody took it serious. They all just thought it was a free-for-all, right? But, I mean, there you go. But the boss comes back and says, all right, well, we're going to take it. But CMC, I think you got some things to worry about. What? What? Like, You just became my boss, just barely, and I got some things to worry about. Like, what are we talking about? Well, Master Chief, there was a lot of things in that survey that we think are that we're gonna take a look at. I was like, fine, do what you gotta do, sir. I already recommended this to Captain Grimes. Nothing ever happened. What are we doing? Right? I said, I don't know. The region's gonna take care of it. I'm just like, hold on. Why are they going to do something that's not even about their survey? Okay. It's not even your survey. It was the previous commander's survey. What are we talking about? I don't know, Match Chief. I'm just letting you know. So I go back, call up the Match Chief up there on the hill. Say, hey man, what the hell's going on, bro? Everything that's in this thing you and I have spoke about, bro. Everything that's going on, you and I have spoke about. Why is there all of a sudden I got something to worry about? Oh, Gary, just calm down, man. Don't be emotional, right? Yeah, right. Don't be emotional. Calm down, Gary. They got just got to trust the process. I'm like, okay, well, let's go. Chop, chop. Let's get it going, right? And then days go by, weeks go by, nothing, nothing. And then all of a sudden, after about a month or two, I get a phone call. Hey Gary, there's this commander down here interviewing our sailors about you. Hey Gary, there's this commander over here interviewing our sailors about you. Hey Gary, there's this. My chiefs are calling me up like, Gary, what's going on, man? There's this guy down here as a commander interviewing the sailors about you. I'm like, look, bro, just trust the process. I don't really know what's going on. We'll figure it out, right? Months go by. I mean, 3, 4, 5 months go by, and this investigation is ongoing. And this guy is just popping up at random and interviewing sailors. Finally, and I'm calling up the Master Chief up there, or the E9 up there. I'm like, bro, how long does this last? Like, where I come from, if a CO, an XO, a master, if somebody significant is getting an investigation, we're trying to wrap this up quick because if this guy's a problem, we don't want them in the job, right? If this person is not good, like, what are we doing? It's been like 4 or 5 months. What is going on, right? He's like, oh, Gary, just trust in the process. This is just, we're going through this process. Like, okay. Well, finally, I get called up to go talk to this guy, right? This commander, who is a freaking reservist from Hawaii, who they activated for the pandemic, who was left over on Guam. Okay. This guy had never been in command, never been an XO, never been a master chief. And in my opinion, you're not qualified to investigate somebody in those positions if you've never held a position of similar and or equal responsibility. That's my 2 cents, right? But this guy calls me up there. And I remember says, I'm going to read you your rights, Master Chief. You're under all these things, right? For violation of the Equal Opportunity Program. And I was just like, oh my God, all this months for that? That's it. And he's like, yeah, just so everybody knows, a couple of things. I didn't wait for the 5 months quietly. Besides calling the Master Chief, I went and talked to Defense Council. I leveraged mentors around the Navy. I'd gotten together all of my information to be prepared to go against this, but I could do nothing until something actually happened, right? Oh, by the way, I'd already dropped retirement papers because I'm not staying in the Navy. Like, I'm done, bro. Like, what are we doing in my Navy? This is incredible. I was just getting a meritorious service medal for freaking doing great during COVID. And now, because I got this new guy on the hill or this new JAG who doesn't like the way I use my words or whatever these sailors want to say about me, I'm under scrutiny for 5 months of an investigation, which, if you've never been under investigation, it is stressful because you're just always wondering, like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Did I do anything? Did I not do anything? And I was to the point where I was very frustrated because I'm talking to people and no one's talking to me. Everyone's telling me not to worry about it, but all I'm getting told is trust the process, trust the process. 5 months later, okay. So when I go up there and I talk to this guy, I have a choice. Do I answer his questions or do I not? Okay. That's my choice. I have about 8 months left in the Navy at this point because I'm already at my year out. And again, I've been under investigation for like 5 months. And again, I could not answer his questions, but in my mind, if I don't answer the questions, I might as well just say I don't want to end my career as a command master chief. Because if you can't trust me to answer questions, then why should I be in this position of authority? Or responsibility? But I also felt like if you're going to investigate me for 5 months, why am I still in this position? Like that's crazy to me. Like if it's this big of a deal, what the hell are we doing, right? But whatever. And I've been talking to my CO about this like weekly. CO, have you heard anything about this investigation? CO, you heard anything about this investigation? Hey, Master Chief up on the hill, you heard anything about this investigation? No, Master Chief, just keep. And I'm kicking by taking names, doing my job, right? Doing my job. This is where it goes sideways. So I said, you know what? I'd already talked to my defense counsel. I got nothing to hide, man. I'm retiring. Let's go, bro. And he asked me the questions. I give him my answers. Boom, boom, boom. Straight shooting, just like I always do. He tells me at the end of it all, he's like, Master Chief, I am so sorry for putting you through this. I'm so sorry it's taken so long. This is not my only responsibility. I'm TDY here. I was supposed to be here for doing these things for freaking COVID, and this is just one of my things. And I'm sorry it's not been a priority. And I was like, sir, you've got me hanging on the loop for 5 months for this investigation. I appreciate it's not your priority, but this is my life, my career, my reputation. You're talking to my sailors about me like I'm doing something wrong, and you're taking your time. Like, what's going on? Do I got a problem here or what? And he was like, no, Master Chief, you don't. He's like, you're doing a great job. All your answers add up. Keep doing what you. He basically says, keep kicking butt, taking names. I wish I had more like you. Like, all right, man, whatever. So he leaves. Okay, goes wherever he's gonna go. I'm thinking it's over. I'm thinking someone's going to tell me, here's the results of the investigation. Here's the readout of the investigation. Here's the change out. You know what I hear? You know what I hear? Ready for this? That they adjust the scope of the investigation because the reporting people up on the hill did not like the results. I'm like, I heard that one. And that was when I unfortunately that was when I had a hard time. I remember I called up the guy up there on the hill, and I was like, "Bro, what are we doing? Why are we going to expand an investigation against me? What are you guys are trying to find on me? What did I do wrong? I will tell you if I did something wrong. What's going on, right?" And he's like, "Gary, just trust in the process. They're looking at a few more things." I'm like, "Bro, what are we doing?" And I said, "Do you know, after 5 months of being under this level of scrutiny, I'm really starting to be frustrated with this whole process. And what's stopping me from just doing something really drastic to communicate to the world that I don't feel like this is fair, this is right, right? What's stopping me from popping a flare or blowing a smoke signal? Because here's the thing, my captain is not doing it. My captain is not doing it. My XO, all he's telling me is, Gary, I'm so sorry, Gary. Gary, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm to the point, y'all, and I've only told this to a few people. I was to the point that I was really thinking about doing something drastic to hurt myself. And I'm sorry if that triggers anybody, but I was going through there. I was thinking about it because I was like, how do I communicate to the world that I'm getting treated this way on this island in the middle of the ocean and no one seems to care about me. Meanwhile, I'm still taking care of all the sailors, all the Fleet Family Sports Center, all the families, all the barracks, all the everything, right? And there's no, I mean, I'm going to mental health now by this point. I'm going to the doctor. They're starting to put me on different medications that's causing my body to change because I'm trying to figure this out because I'm trying not to do anything crazy and I'm trying to trust the process. And no one is caring about. I would never let this happen to one of my sailors. I would have been raising hell 5 months. I've had all kinds of sailors get investigated. Chiefs, senior chiefs, master chiefs. Guess what? We got that done. Package it up in a bow, debrief that sailor as to what we think, what's going on, whatever we're going to do next. And after 5 months already being under investigation, now you're going to expand the aperture of the investigation because what? So then I find out. So I had the conversation with the master chief, right? Telling him these things. And you know what he tells me? Well, Gary, thank you I appreciate you for just hanging on. Like, bro, what? What? I'm down here doing the job. I'm telling you, you're supposed to be my person that I talk to. Like, dog, I'm struggling down here. Why is this continuing on? Take me off the dot, bro. Take me off the seat. If you guys don't trust me, put me out to pasture for my last 5 months, whatever. I don't care while you guys figure out this investigation about me, right? Oh, Gary, no, I appreciate you just hanging in there. I'm okay, okay. I'm, and I'm still on medication today, just so y'all know. I'm trying my best to not freaking lose my mind, even just reminiscing about this. Um, so then I hear a day or two later that the leaders from up on the hill are down there with security, talking to security. Now they're going to a sailor's barracks room because he says he's got moldy boots and that they had told me about it and that I did nothing about it. Yeah, I went, they told me about it, right? On that same email, replied back to them and I CC'd the guy, the master chief on the hill. But I also said we live in a tropical climate. If your closet is not having adequate ventilation and you start to recognize problems, my advice is to freaking clean it out. I've got hundreds of barracks rooms. I don't got hundreds of complaints about mold growing in barracks, right? I got one from security because this dude's got cowboy boots, leather cowboy boots, in a freaking dank closet. And it's a science experiment for this kid. But they've got the guy from the hill is over in the barracks and he is fuming. Like, Gary, you need to come over to the barracks right now. They want to see you over here right now. Right? All right, bro. Go over there, hear everyone's got to say. Mind you, hundreds of barracks that I manage, not just one, hundreds. But this is the one. Oh, you're not taking care of our sailors. Okay. We live in Guam. We live in Guam. Humid climate. What do you want to do? Okay. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Close this barracks room down. Shut it down. We're going to redo all the ventilation of this whole building. Shut the whole building down. So now I got to figure out how to vacate all these sailors out of this barracks so they can get this whole project done that I would have never happened had not this whole thing blown up. And I still don't think it needed to happen. It was just a freaking people are bored and they got nothing better to do on a Tuesday. And they're trying to find reasons to be angry at somebody, right? So months go by. Months go by. Like, bro, what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? I'm getting closer to my retirement day. Am I going to get my cover on the Navy Times tomorrow? Are you guys going to tell me the status of this investigation? Am I going to lose a birthday soon? What are we doing, bro? No, Gary, just keep doing a good job. Keep doing a good job. Trust the process. Trust the process. That's okay. What would y'all say? I mean, I'd already dropped my papers to retire by that point. So, what are they going to do? Right? 2 weeks before my retirement date, my captain sits me down and he gives me an LOI. He gives me an LOI, and it says on this LOI that we're going to meet every Friday to have leadership training. I'm like, sir, I'm retiring in a week. I know, Master Chief. Like, what's the point of the LOI, sir? The point of an LOI is to recognize the deficiency and identify a way that we're going to train to the deficiency in order to move forward. He's like, well, let me show you something. And there's this cover letter to an investigation wrap up. And the guy says, if Master Chief was not retiring, I would have taken additional actions. Okay. Is that a threat? Like, what are we doing? I've been waiting for that, bro. Let's do that. Bring it. I want to have that conversation. I'm not afraid of this dude. Let's go. Right? Let's have that conversation because y'all lucky I'm not dead in my freaking housing. Because I've been thinking about that part, right? I've been thinking about that part. And y'all can answer that question. How you got this man under investigation for 10 months? How you got this Navy family living under that thing? My wife, me, my kids dealing with me on mental health medication, me trying to do my job and live under that scrutiny for freaking almost a year, right after my dad died, right after having, I mean, that part. Let's, what? What? No, whatever, bro. I told the captain, I said, "Hey, sir, so are you gonna come to my retirement ceremony?" Because at my retirement ceremony, my Captain Grimes, he was my speaker, right? My captain off the Ashland, who's the Commodore for freaking Mipshon, he was there as my retirement officer, right? My chaps is there, right? But the captain didn't come to my retirement ceremony. My captain did not come to my retirement ceremony, even though I said, "Sir, is this how you feel?" I mean, you and I have had I thought, a decent relationship. To be told, I liked him, right? Except for he didn't stand up for me. He didn't have the courage to tell his boss, like, "Hey, he's my master chief. I'm good with everything that's going on, and if we're gonna fire him, let me know." But I don't want to. I told the captain, I said, "Sir," we had a conversation one time. I said, "Sir, why would you still have me be your CMC after all these months of investigation if you really thought there was a problem?" He's like, "Master Chief, I don't know what to tell you." I was like, "Well, then, do you want me to not be your CMC?" He's like, "No, I do. You're doing a great job. Keep it up." Like, the, what are we talking about? Man, bro. And what an interesting last 10 months to my Navy career, which was, he gave me a calm, right? My captain gave me a calm. The same day I got the LOI, he gave me a calm. He said, "Master Chief, I got your eval here, and I got your end of tour award. How do you want?" I was like, "Just give it, just give me that. I don't even know where it's at. I got it somewhere, right? I mean, whatever. I got an MSM a freaking year ago. Whatever, dude. I don't care about no freaking trophies. It's not. Matter of fact, that was the song that I had playing at my retirement ceremony when we had my reception at the base club that was packed full of people from Naval Base Guam that freaking cared about my family. My retirement ceremony was packed. Then that one dude from the hill, that E9 from the hill, he came to my retirement ceremony, and I was like, "Bro, why are you in the room, dog? Why, bro?" Because, nah, hey, not for nothing. I don't have too many of these stories, y'all. I don't. I really don't. I've got two, maybe three of them, but this was a big one, and I've never been quiet about it. I've always spoke my truth. Plenty of people know this story, and many of them have been telling me, asking me to share it with the world. I just been waiting for the right time. I was happy. Uh, Today felt like the right time. So thank you very much. If you're listening to my story, if you ever do think you want to put yourself into the leadership arena, here's what I'm gonna tell y'all. God, you can't control certain things. You can't control if everyone's gonna like you. Again, I had this phone call from this brother last night who is a boy of mine since like 2007, right? And you're telling me about people that didn't like me, and I'm like, "Dog, well, I don't care what they don't like me or don't like me. I guess my question is, why do they feel comfortable saying it to you, bro? If we're boys, I'm gonna tell them that's my guy. Don't talk about that's my friend, right? What are we talking about with the petty crap? We're a bunch of freaking supposed to be master chiefs that are supposed to be running with our captains, and y'all are talking about, I don't like this person's eye color or hair color or their flavor of their voice or whatever. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Stop. When you retire from the Navy, right? When you retire from the military, you go to the VFW, right? Guess what? They don't ask you when you walk in the door. What was your rank? Guess what? They don't ask you, or you a freaking force master chief or a fleet master chief, or were you any of those things? No one cares. Okay, so get over yourself, people. Stop. Just rebalance, refocus, do better, because you're not going to keep the best. I'll be honest with y'all. I thought I was going to stay in the Navy for a lot longer than I did. But I recognized after the Seventh Fleet period of time and seeing how that whole thing works, and how nothing against the big boss. I liked him actually a lot. I do. But I wasn't a fan of the cover ups. That was one, and then seeing just the cowardice and these social justice warriors trying to come after people using their lawfare and their jags and their crap. Oh, by the way, what I was getting intel from on the hill from my people up there, they were just telling me that that jag on the hill really didn't like me, and it was him that was driving that. And because that paralegal, they just really thought that I was not a nice guy. Okay, well, you don't have to like me, bro. Guess what? I'm not here for you to like me. I wasn't there for you to like me. I was there to do good for my sailors and for my team and for my entire community that loved me. So just because you didn't like me, I don't care, bro. I still don't. I still don't. It's actually kind of therapeutic being able to talk about this kind of stuff and share it, because it took me a while to come back off that cliff of thinking about doing drastic things. That's a tough conversation when you got to tell your wife that you're thinking about possibly doing something really bad, right? That's tough. That's tough. And I think about senior leaders, especially in my Navy, that unfortunately do drastic things because they feel like they're isolated, they're alone, they're just spent, because here's this organization they gave everything to, and because somebody's got a personality conflict, because somebody doesn't like them, or because somebody wants to be good old boy club or mean to people or whatever it is, you can take them, put them through this crap, and no one's gonna say nothing. And I still, truth be told, never called no IG, never popped no flares. I was a good little sailor till the end. Just took it, right? Just took it. And I would have never let that happen to my sailors, right? And these guys are still in uniform. I see them. Yeah, I see them. I hope they're doing better, man. Hope they do good. Hope they do better. I'm very grateful for where my life is at now. God has blessed me and my family, and trust me, I had to go to God many times over this whole thing. I'm still working on forgiveness for these people, and maybe this will help. Maybe this will help. Maybe I can finally let this go a little bit and be like, all's well that ends well, right? All's well that ends well. I do think that talking to old boy last night kind of spun me up a little bit. It's the fact that I've still got people in that Navy organization still using my name. It's just crazy to me. Like, y'all gotta move on, bro. Maybe it's because they see my videos and they're haters. in that case, keep hating, bro. You can't even get inside the club. Hate from outside the club. What the hell? Thank y'all very much for your time. If you appreciate the content, if you like the content, please like, subscribe. I have a lot of people lined up for this podcast. It's super exciting. So I'm going to be starting season 2 here pretty soon, because I've just got a lot of shipmates that are seeing the podcast and they're wanting to jump on board. And it was a great room. It was my birthday yesterday, and just all the love that I got from all of the former shipmates and the people that are seeing what I'm doing. God, that felt good, man. So thank y'all for that. I appreciate y'all. And I'm looking forward to doing this, man. Y'all stay up. Navy Chief, Navy Pride, still shouting that, right? All day long. But it's Vanguard Knights over here. I love my Vanguard Knights team. We're about 2 weeks out from going back to school, 1 week out from doing Ocala Inspired here in Ocala. So big things happening. Uh, I get to help, baptize some people tomorrow with church, starting a middle school ministry in my church. That's going to be dope. So thank you, Church of Hope, for the faith in me and my family there. Looking forward to doing that. And if you watch this video, thank you for going for the ride. I'm sorry if I kind of jumped all over the place, but hopefully I laid the table for you to hear it and appreciate the story. If you're going through this, or you know someone that's going through something like this, please watch out for your friends, because it's dangerous. It's tough out there alone. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Peace.
And I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. Don't care for the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know